Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, your premier platform for real-time global insights. Well, I want to take you back to March 5th here. When you see white on this image here in the northern plains in the Great Lakes states, what you're seeing here is mostly snow. There's some high cloud cover, I should say, down here, but much of that is snow. Well, fast forward to last Friday, and you can see that much of that snowpack has been eroded. Really, where we still have our major snow amounts are sitting right in here. This is parts of North Dakota, northern South Dakota, stretching to Minnesota and Wisconsin. If we take a look at the current snow water equivalent, this is how much water is in that snowpack, we can still see pretty high amounts here. Some places ranging between 2 and 6 inches of liquid equivalent, meaning that as that continues to melt when we progress into spring, the northern tributaries here of our major central U.S. river system, so I'm talking the Mississippi and the Missouri River, are going to continue to see flooding problems in the foreseeable future here. And this is going to continue to work its way right down to the Gulf of Mexico. So I just want to give you a quick update on that. Now, the neighbor girl came over on Saturday. Her name is Sylvie. She's 4 years old. And she says, "Mr. Eric, can we go out and look for signs of spring?" And she really just wanted to go out and look for flowers. You know, for me, signs of spring are right here. This is an infrared satellite animation on Sunday. And you can see the line of storms building there along the front that stretch from about St. Louis, Missouri, all the way down into parts of eastern Texas. And some of these storms produce quite a bit of hail, also some strong winds and some isolated tornadoes. And for me, that is definitely a sign that spring is here. Now, when we look back over the last 3 days across the central part of the United States, we had on Friday, we were watching the severe storms in the panhandles of Oklahoma, Texas. Then it got into central Oklahoma on Saturday and then built right down this line on Sunday. Well, these storms will be progressing over toward the southeast throughout the day on Monday here. We're going to look out for our severe weather threat there in a few minutes. Now, in terms of how active these storms were, just a lot of lightning. In fact, look at this. You know, the state of Oklahoma, I think everybody there saw some lightning over the last 3 days here. Basically, the entire state covered. And again, we saw that transition last Friday over the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, getting into central Texas by Saturday. And then on Sunday, really building down this line here, 174 reports in total over the last 3 days here. Again, a lot of strong winds and some hail out of these storms. This is just kind of continuing our narrative here on how active of a severe weather season we're expecting across the United States. Well, these storms will be progressing throughout the day on Monday toward the southeast. Latest update from the Storm Prediction Center is really keeping a close eye on some widely scattered but potentially severe storms, maybe some hail producers that will come right into this part of Alabama and parts of Georgia early evening this evening as the main front kind of sweeps through this area. So if you're watching this video down here in this part of the southeast, keep a close eye out this evening for some stronger storms. To kind of show you the timing of these storms, let's begin our high-resolution NAM model here at 6 a.m. on Monday. As we progress forward throughout the day, we're going to see that by midday, the storms are firing right here in parts of Tennessee and Kentucky, with the trailing edge of that front getting all the way back into Louisiana and Texas. And as we progress forward throughout the day, there we go. By the time 6 p.m. comes in, that front will start to initiate possibly some discrete, stronger storms down here in this area that may have the potential to produce some strong winds, some hail, and some isolated tornadoes. The wind shear profile is not perfect, but it is certainly a threat there. This moves in the overnight hours over toward the Carolinas, stretching all the way back. You can see the front stretching all the way back here into Georgia, Alabama, and the panhandle of Florida. And as this system tries to move off the East Coast, so this is by early morning on Tuesday, spreading rain there in coastal North Carolina, we will see a little push of some last kind of bit of showers and storms moving back through parts of Georgia, stretching over toward the Florida here. Now, in the meantime, look at what's going on in California. Remember, in last week's videos, we talked about how Northern California was kind of taking the brunt of the next few systems. So progressing through the evening hours on Tuesday, we can see the next plume of moisture coming through here, possibly dumping quite a bit of snow in the Sawtooth Mountains of Idaho here. That's part of the Northern Rockies. But what you'll then see is that by the time I get you into Wednesday morning, the next big system comes in. While Florida's still dealing with showers and storms, it'll be California they're going to be the target of the next system we're going to watch that will spread across the country. So if we just look at total accumulated precipitation getting us all the way out to Wednesday at 8 a.m., what you see here was from overnight on Sunday night to early Monday morning, but you can see the storms progressing toward the east or toward the southeast here, and then that next big system coming on in California that by the end of next week is going to cause some problems across the midsection of the country. Now let's kind of look at the main players here moving forward, and really there's going to be a bit of a change of guard in what's dominating the flow pattern. What I mean by that is we've really been watching this ridge that's been progressing up toward Alaska. With time, we're going to see the Pacific jet stream really taking control of things again, and this trough moving its way up toward Greenland. And it's going to be that trough that sits over Greenland, which is kind of an interplay with what's going on in the stratosphere with what the polar vortex is doing right now, that is going to allow the pattern to continue to stay active, but possibly start to warm up where we start to see some real life of spring across much of the United States. So we kind of play this one forward. Let's just get you out here to, we've seen the first couple of systems. Let's just take this all the way to Wednesday morning. Now you start to see this ridge building in the middle part of the country, but there's going to be a cool, kind of a chilly start to the week in the middle part of the United States in the East Coast as we wait for the next big warm up to arrive. It won't be until that ridge progresses here by Wednesday into Thursday over into the, the eastern part of the United States out ahead of this trough. See this one right here? Out ahead of this trough that the warm up really begins. Now, that ridge that was over Alaska is actually going to have a wave-breaking event. That's where the atmosphere kind of folds itself over in terms of the flow, and it's going to be timed perfectly with this trough coming into Northern California, and they meet right here in the Central Plains by the time we get into Friday afternoon and evening. And this little trough, it doesn't look like much, but it is connected to two things. It's connected to this trough sitting just north and east of the Hudson, and it's being reinforced by the ridging event that's still sitting over Western Canada and Alaska. And the combination of those two things is going to provide some decent upper level support for the development of a pretty strong cyclone Friday into Saturday that sweeps through the country. Now behind this one, there's going to be some cold air. So we are going to end March with a March line and begin April, the very first couple of days of April, with some colder weather in the central U.S. But watch this change of the guard, as I called it here. You see, what's happening with time is this trough here begins to be one of the more dominant players across North American weather. And it progresses here toward, north of the Hudson Bay and over Greenland. Big difference between a year ago and now. This trough was sitting here between the Great Lakes and Montana. The other thing is, look at how strong the Pacific jet stream will be with this trough sitting here. And that allows for a ridge to build across the eastern part of the country. So even though we're going to start the beginning of April off cool, it appears that the long-range European model wants to tuck a trough away up toward Greenland and allow a ridge to build in the eastern part of the country, which means we will get some rebounding temperatures and some warmth that's coming in. Now, before I tell you about that warmth, I want to at least give you the latest kind of update from the European model here on what's going on with that system toward the end of the week. So we're going to just go straight to Wednesday here, and by the time we get into midday Wednesday, we see that high pressure is in control. Now, throughout the day on Wednesday, there will be a weak low pressure system that builds here in parts of north central Canada. And that low pressure system is going to be crucial for those folks in parts of Indiana, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri. And that's because as the system goes up toward the Hudson Bay, it will drag a front right in through this area. See it? And it will be on that front that the next system will help take shape. That's the one I told you that came into California, timed up with the wave-breaking event over Alaska, and they meet right here in the middle part of the country. So right in through this corridor that I'm kind of tracing out here, some midweek showers are possible, but that's not the main event. The main event starts right in through Thursday. See, the wave comes onshore in California, goes across the northwest, I should say, and then right here emerges on Friday in the Central Plains. See the boundary right in through there on which all of this is interacting? Well, here we go. By the time I get you into Friday, midday, upslope flow, bringing some snow here to the higher elevations in parts of Colorado, but really into parts of Wyoming and the western sides of South Dakota and Nebraska. As the system progresses forward, we see it develop here, bringing some snow into Nebraska and Iowa, Wisconsin, more than likely, and rain to the south of there. Very windy conditions again as we start our next weekend. And behind it, look, there's the front really stretching out here, but behind it, higher atmospheric pressure and much cooler conditions to start off the beginning of April. But don't worry, things rebound relatively quickly after this system progresses through. So let's kind of talk about what that's going to look like. First, you can see the interaction of the system that goes through here dragging its cold front in through this area, and the next system that takes off here and progresses along that same boundary. So we're looking at total accumulated rainfall getting you all the way out to next Monday morning. And if I take my drawings off there, we can see that it's this corridor right in through here that's picking up more rainfall with some snow on the backside. So you can see right in through here where we might pick up some snow. But remember, this snow will be melting relatively quickly with the warm-up that will follow this after we get past the first couple of days of April. Meanwhile, when this system comes onshore, like I said, targeting the Sawtooth Mountains and parts of the northern Rockies with some heavier snowfall. So we are bringing rain over the next week to two places that don't need it. That is this section right in through here in Iowa and Nebraska, sites of two separate billion-dollar weather disasters from that system 2 weeks ago. And then you can see down here anywhere between an inch and a half of rainfall is expected by the time we get into early next week. So active goings here as we progress through the next 7 to 10 days. Now stretching this out to week 2, I want to show you the GFS model because there are some differences. The GFS model wants to keep that strong Pacific jet, bringing much wetter than average conditions here to the northwest, a place that's been dry like coastal Washington. But this is also invigorating a stronger subtropical jet, which keeps much of this part of the country wetter than average, and that just tends to point toward more activity in terms of severe weather as well. So a little bit of a disagreement between this and the European model, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, but the GFS model I think has a better handle on that subtropical jet stream feature that's coming off the Pacific. The GFS is also warmer than what I'm about to show you. This is the European model ensemble here. So we can see that starting off the week, the cooler weather is tucked away in that trough that's moving through with the first system. But look at the rebounding temperatures here in the Central Plains once we get through the day on Wednesday, getting into Thursday and Friday. This is out ahead of that next big system. So we start off the week cool in the Eastern Corn Belt, then warm up substantially by the end of the week. Maybe a lot of locations getting deep into the 60s. But behind that next big system we talked about, see the colder air spreading by Saturday into Sunday, and that cold air makes it pretty far to the south. Now watch this. I told you it's a quick rebound. We can see that by the time we get past that cooler start to April, warmer conditions begin to build back in. And I told you the GFS is much warmer than the European model on this. So we're going to watch these two models carefully as we progress forward. Now we've known that since February's gotten here that the South has had an early start to spring. And I'm only pointing this out because right now we see from the European model, this would be valid on next Sunday. We're going to be getting our freezing temperatures pretty far to the south here. Maybe on Monday, they're probably getting a freeze event this far south. Well, it's not zero. It's not high, but it's not zero. So I just want to show you the full extent of that cold air coming in Saturday, Sunday, and early Monday here, possibly bringing some freezing temperatures pretty far to the south there through Tennessee to northern Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia. We're going to keep a close eye on it, keep you updated throughout the rest of this week. But I just want to give you a tease about my new long-range update that'll come out on Wednesday. We do see again, by April 15th, the models are certainly picking up on warmer conditions here. A lot of this is snowpack driven, but we do see a flow pattern that I think will feature something like this, which keeps a lot of that region active. Okay, as we finish up this video, I want to take you down south here. Pretty rare event. You see this feature right in through here? Well, this, as we play forward here, is our tropical cyclone. This is a tropical cyclone. I don't know if it's called Iba or Iba, but it is sitting here just off of the the east coast of Brazil. Last time we had a tropical cyclone in this area, it was 2004. They named that one Catarina. And so this is sitting on this kind of frontal boundary that stretched right in through this area. And why I bring this up is not just the rarity of a tropical system down there, but they have certainly some warm waters to support it. But really what's interesting is that is the same boundary on which we're seeing quite a bit of wetter than average conditions as we're looking at the end of this first crop beans, which it is nearly done, and also the safrinha crop, which is planted. This is good, well-timed rains for this area. This particular tropical cyclone is moving offshore though, and if you look down here and you see, well, there's a drier bias in southern Brazil and a drier bias in Argentina, I'll tell you some reports are coming out from Cordoba suggesting that their first crop of corn here might be an all-time record setter. So the drier conditions here are certainly not impacting crops given how wet things have been so far this year. And also, we know we had those 2 tropical systems that moved toward Australia. I just want to show you some of the rainfall amounts here, between 7 and 15 inches of total accumulated precipitation. And Trevor, the system that came like this, is now still causing problems in this region of Australia, producing anywhere between 1 and 5 inches of rainfall for some locations there. So this is still a flooding threat for Australia. I just want to finish this up. On my Wednesday update, we will be talking about the new long-range stuff that came out from NOAA and the Climate Prediction Center, looking all the way out through their April forecast. So we'll discuss some similarities and differences between what NOAA's looking at, what I'm looking at, with my long-range update that comes out on Wednesday. We certainly have our regional updates on Tuesday and Friday, and you'll get my big video again on Thursday. So my.nutrienagsolutions.com, great place to go to get all that information. Okay, that was a longer video, but we're going to stop it right there. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you look forward to our next ag forecasts coming out this week. Hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.